Hi, welcome to another episode of Tell Me How You're Mighty, real talk about cheating. I'm here with my co-host Sarah Gorel, and we're going to talk again about the Ashley Madison Netflix documentary because sadly last week we had a bit of a snafu getting studios time so Sarah could join in on this. And it is such a deep vein and there is so much to discuss. So Sarah, first thing I wanted to ask you is, I think you had strong feelings about the first guy who comes on the show, the sort of the narrator with the bad flamingo shirt.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because you said to me last time, right, let's talk about this. And I said, I could, but I'm so irritated by them all that I've had to turn it off. I started watching it and it just got to me. And the man, he seemed to spend a lot of time sort of by the pool in his pink shirt, being pleased with himself.
Yeah.
And he just instantly irritated me. And I just the whole concept of it, which they are so proud of, in the and the advertising around it, I couldn't watch because it annoyed me so instantly and so much, playing with people's lives in this fashion.
Yeah. Did you get through it?
I did in the end. I managed to sort of watch it in dribs and drabs, but the whole thing, I mean, it did seem to me, it highlighted the fact that there are so many people that just think it's fine. Affairs are a little bit of harmless, jolly fun. And there was a lot of justification of, if nobody knows about it, that's fine. It doesn't affect your marriage. I think there was a few individuals that kept coming on saying this saves marriages. It doesn't
Yes.
destroy marriages. It saves marriages. And I hate that narrative.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, because it's such bullshit. And it was interesting that the two people, that they focused on, the chumps, they're reconciling, or in the case of the dead guy, the sinister minister's wife, she didn't get the chance to, but she says that she wishes she had, and she thinks it's all a big witch hunt. And then the other person, of course, who isn't interviewed, wouldn't that be interesting, is Noel Biderman's wife, the CEO of Ashley Madison, who I don't know which dribs and drabs you got to, but it's revealed that he has this whole marketing campaign. I am a happily married man. I don't cheat. And his wife is there, part of his marketing. And then it turns out that, oh yes, he does cheat. And
it does, yeah, and I did find I did manage to consume that bit of it. What I found quite interesting is that his wife, obviously, because she knew what he was doing and what he was marketing, and he was marketing himself as a happily married man who is, just a marketing a site that promotes cheating.
right.
She herself knew that he was doing that, so there was a little part of her that thinks cheating is okay, doesn't she? Because her husband was behind this site.
Right. It's that whole, I don't judge. I don't judge what other people do until it bites me in the ass. And, so to me, there's two toxic chump myths that the Netflix documentary on Ashley Madison underscores. And the first is that one. It's that either she knows, in the case of Biderman's wife, she knows he's a cheater, or she's so naive as to think that a man who promotes cheating is himself not a cheater. And, I'll give her a pass. Maybe she really thought, I don't judge. That's how he makes his money. But he himself would never do such a thing. But everyone's kind of, oh, she must know. That's the myth. They must know. And then the other toxic myth related to that, surely you must know, is, well, if you didn't know or you kind of found out, you stay. You like the perks, right? It's all a facade. Marriage is a facade. It's all about the transactional relationship. If you get this fabulous life, we make it off what is essentially credit card fraud, and yeah, it's good. I mean, it's totally not in the conversation is that there are people who believe that they have committed monogamous relationships and that they bring their whole hearts to it and that they are sincerely chumped. Because if you represented that point of view, it would be like we are experiencing it, horrific. You would just be outraged at these people.
The other thing that I noted too is that there was a lot of this, and again, the narrative about, marriage gets a little bit boring.
Absolutely.
Monogamy is monotony. And so what's the harm in just trotting off and spicing things up a little bit? Well, the cost of joining this site, the cost that every time you spoke to someone, it costs money.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
the fact that while you're busy having your harmless fun, then your other half is at home looking after the kids, doing the monotony, while you trot off and get up to all sorts of antics, which are supposed to spice up your marriage, but they're not. They're just simply self-indulgent fun that is spicing up your life, nobody else's life. If you're going to do it, then don't live in this fantasy world that you're doing it for the benefit of greater good, that you're doing it for your marriage. At least be honest about it.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is fantasy. And I mean that I thought was interesting about it is that they're not even chatting with real people. That's also revealed that there are these chat bots. So they would take pictures from people's profile and would sort of bait the men, mostly men on the site, with these profiles. Like, hi, I really want to get to know you. And then the guy hands over his credit card, buys more whatever message tokens or something. He's having a little fishing expedition with something that isn't even real, with a chatbot, and with the hopes that, I mean, so a lot of it is, yeah, that people are meeting up, but a lot of it is buying into that myth. Oh, I'm just going to have a little naughty bit on the side, and no strings attached sex, and everybody's playing the same game. I mean, it is a fantasy, right? We know from personal experience that, yeah, there's a lot of costs associated with this lifestyle.
What's interesting as well is that one of the reasons not many women signed up for this, and then they sort of said, well, we need to sort of look at our marketing strategy because they realized that the way that they were portraying women wasn't particularly attractive to women. This
Mhm.
kind of someone with a whip that is in a very, sexual position or whatever, and it kind of you think we've moved forward in life, haven't we? We've moved towards equality, but then you see that a site like
Wow.
this, it's men that want a certain sort of women, and it's nothing to do with their brains, their personality, or anything else. And women are
Right.
still portrayed in this way that I thought we'd moved on from a long time ago. But then thousands of people sign up for this site, which indicates that there's a
Millions.
large proportion of people
Millions of
that
people
that
across the
that
world.
think this is what we want. I just found it. I think, Tracy, this is why I couldn't watch it. I just found it utterly depressing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. It's utterly depressing. But when the hack happened, and we'll get to the hack in a moment because I have feelings about that one. When it happened, I felt vindicated for the very depressing reason you just mentioned, which is that millions of people are interested in this. Because I have argued, and just solely on the data sample that is running my blog, right? The people who write in, the narrative is it's a one off. It's an exit affair. I got drunk at a conference and I had a one night stand. When therapists, when they talk about cheating, it's always that. I was never this person before. And then one day, circumstances aligned and I became a cheater. Forgive me immediately. That's most of the narrative. Whereas what I saw on the site, my own story, my husband's story, anybody who's pretty much been involved with the site, is that serial cheating is a lifestyle for many people. It's how they prefer to conduct themselves. And it's a basic human power dynamic going that's everywhere else in the world. I want a set of rules. I want everyone to obey those set of rules except me. I want things to unilaterally benefit me. So monogamy for thee, but not for me. And that's a lifestyle for many people. Or the idea of being able to game the system in that way to get benefits is attractive to many people. And what the hack, realized is that there are millions of people who think serial cheating is okay, or who are serial cheaters. And that's even true of the people that they profiled, the sad is that they have multiple partners. This isn't the one-off. They didn't just get on Ashley Madison once. They cheated multiple times with multiple partners, and that was their goal. Yeah, it's depressing.
And actually, sort of at the opening, at the start of it, you've got somebody who has a beautiful wife,
Mhm.
lovely children. He admits that he loves his wife. She isn't driving him to an affair, another narrative. She's not somebody that's done something wrong, and there's a reason that her husband has chosen to have an affair, seek down other people to be with. He just
Yeah.
wants to do it. And there's a scene where she's waving him off to work. She admits that she does everything to meet his needs. She
Yep.
leads her life around him, and he is still logging on while on, I think it was an overnight nursing shift or something, and seeking out affair partners while she's at home looking after their children. And she has done nothing to drive him to an affair. There's nothing that she could have done to stop him from behaving in that fashion. And yet, if she goes to counselling or to a relationship therapist, she will be immediately told to look for her role in creating that behaviour. And you watch that from afar. There is no way you could fault her in any way or
I
accuse her of
think
driving him.
I agree with you, but I think that they avoided that obvious misogyny. 'Cause she says, "I blame myself, whatever," and then he does take the heat off of her. He says, "This was me, I did this," and then it's revealed, I think in the 3rd episode, that, first he says he was just curious and he was on there, but he never cheated, and they make a little video, "I've forgiven myself, God's forgiven me, she's forgiven me, it's all good." She does the whole stand by your man thing, and then it's revealed later that no, it's multiple affairs on Ashley Madison. Also, um, escort, massage, happy endings, and that he hit on her best friend, and the friend dropped her, and she never knew why. And that seems to be the most sincerely painful thing to her, is that he was hitting on her friends, and she lost this person close to her and didn't know why. And I don't think anyone blames her, like, I mean, she in that sense, she is, like, the perfect, winsome, wholesome, happy, beautiful young wife. Like, if she could get cheated on, anyone could get cheated on, and they kinda go to him. But see, this is where the Jesus cheater thing comes in. You got Jesus spackle. See, then it's like he found God, he went to his pastor, he wants to be a better man, and suddenly, switch o change-o, he's a monogamous person who values her. Thanks to the hack and how that wasn't his best self. And I would say that wasn't your best self because when the hack came out, the first thing you did was go to immediate forgiveness and lying about what it all was. Yeah.
I think it was hilarious. So there was it did make comedy entertainment at times because um, they had to pay to have their information deleted from the site.
Yes.
And then it transpired that actually that information wasn't being deleted. So people that were cheating were
Mhm.
being cheated out of
Yes.
the money. And there was lots of ironies that went on there. So people that were quite happy with appalling, deceitful behavior would then deceive themselves.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah,
absolutely
exactly.
furious about the fact that they were deceived because that's unacceptable behavior, apart from when they're deceiving the person that's central to their life.
Right, exactly. Oh, the horror. I mean, do you mean that these people said that they had a secure site and a little logo that said that they were secure and you trusted them with your credit card and they betrayed you? No. You know? And it's the same with Noel Biderman or Biederman or however you say his name. The fact that, the hack was someone from within, someone he trusted, an employee, an associate, and they took your data and they weaponized it against you. You were vulnerable and they hurt you. Oh, like we're supposed to feel bad?
I know. And that's the biggest irony I found about the whole thing.
I
It's like,
know.
yes, it's terrible when when a business lies to you, takes your money, false pretenses.
Oh,
But these were people that were deceiving somebody that loved them, that they were sharing their lives with, and they think that's okay. So you've got no right in that case to be aggrieved, or have you?
yeah. Well, okay. The other thing, do you have any right to be aggrieved? To this point, I the chumps that okay, I'm going to break this down into the two different chumps that they did talk about who were interviewed. So there's the Naya and Sam Rader. That's the attractive young couple who are vloggers, who are probably the most sympathetic. And then there's, I'm going to blank on her name, but we'll just call her the sinister minister's wife, in New Orleans, whose husband was a Baptist minister and a professor at a seminary. And when the Ashley Madison hack happens, he kills himself, which is tragic. But instead of the woman says that it's the shame that killed him. And I think it's the accountability that killed him. Like, he couldn't stand an entire afternoon of being accountable or exposed. And I'm sure it must have been a hell of a shock to the system. But, she keeps calling it a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. It's a witch hunt. And I'm like, they caught a witch. Your husband was a witch. Like, witches are fictitious, right? I mean, it's not a case of persecution. It was a case of revealment. And that point wasn't made. It's that these people, I guess we're supposed to consider them victims, that the data was hacked and they were exposed. But then there's no mention of, as you point out, the people that they're victimizing.
If someone has committed a murder and CCTV footage finds that they've been up to no good, or if someone's committed a fraud and bank investigations find that they've committed that fraud, no one says, well, that's terrible. That was a witch hunt. They were exposed. That's terrible. And it does still seem to be that cheating is a secret that people are somehow entitled to, because it's all fine and it's all fun and it's all harmless and it's not going to do any damage to people. In fact, it's going to boost your relationship.
Right. Well, because the emphasis is on the sex. And if we judge them, we're not supposed to judge, then we're judging their sexuality. Whereas I feel, no, we're judging their deception. They're being deceptive, And, that's on that point. What'd you think of the swinging couple? Like, did you get that point where the woman who is the dominatrix and the guy who's on Ashley Madison, and turns out they're married and they bake cookies and they have this lovely little domestic life, but they have an open marriage. And that was the other canard. It's like, it's okay if you both know you're doing it. And my thought was, then why are you on a cheater site? Why aren't you on a swinger site with other people who want to have open relationships? Why are you looking for people who are in the closet, so to speak? I don't get it.
I don't think you can apply logic to a lot of this behaviour, though. And I do have more if people want to do it and they're open with it and they're telling one another, then I suppose you could argue there's no harm done to anyone. If everyone, this is the whole thing, isn't it? It's the honesty about it. It's the dishonesty of cheating. It's the fact that one person is living a life that they're not aware what's going on behind their back, and no one wants to be in that position.
Yeah, no, well, including Noel Biderman. Because one of the things that was released, although they didn't talk about it in this one, he also wrote a screenplay which was laughable. And if you want to look in the Chump Lady archives, you can find my snarking about it. His directions to his escort agency were in there, how he liked them on the young side, like 18, and he would review them. And, his cringy, bad screenwriting is in there, was in the data hack. And I'm sure he felt very betrayed by it all. I'm not sure.
I think that's another thing that I found really depressing about this. When I said, times have they not moved on? That, a man who's happily married and you think his partner is an equal reveals himself to want 18, 19-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And if it was the other way round, still, if it was a middle-aged married woman that was seeking out 18-year-old boys, there would be far more judgment than when it's men doing it.
Sure, there would be a great big collective ooh, Or I don't know, maybe there's some people who go like, "Go girl, you cougar." I mean, I guess it's legal, and in this case, it's legal what he's doing, but we're all told we're not supposed to judge him. And the thing is, if you're doing that as a single person, that's fine, I suppose. It's within the bounds of the law. We can think you're a creep, but this guy's literally marketing himself as a monogamous guy. He had his wife on billboards with it was like, "My wife's hot. How's yours?" I mean, that woman, I don't know what to make of her, Amanda Biederman or Biderman. Like, is she willingly going along with this? Like, and then that blew up in her face spectacularly. And apparently they're still married. And, some people aren't chumps, they're volunteers. I mean, maybe the money's good. And
You hear a lot of the pain and the hurt and the lives that are absolutely shattered on your blog. You've heard this for years now, and you've seen, some of the stories that you hear, the people that write to you, it's horrific what they've been through. And your mission was to spread the word, leave a cheater, gain a life, don't fall for all this nonsense that you're peddled. When you watch this program, did it make you think that, I mean, in lots of ways, as you say, it really did reinforce your message, because it showed that cheating wasn't a one-off, it wasn't accidental, it was quite calculated behaviour, and it was selfish behaviour. But then on the other hand, it also showed how people normalise cheating and how they
totally.
justify it, and they think it's all fine.
Well, I think it was a very sanitized cheating. I mean, the stories of the chumps here are incredibly sanitized. I mean, you could argue the man who killed himself, but they're saying, oh, that's not from the cheating. That's from the revelation. It's from the judgment. That's what made him kill himself. Not that he had a double life, and didn't want to be held accountable for it. It's that you all judged him. That's what she says. It was the shame that killed him. I don't know what was in his mind. I can't speak to that. But how many chumps have killed themselves from the revelation of their partner's double lives? I mean, how many children need therapy because they discovered the double lives of their parents, because they invested in a lie? How much depression, how much suicidal ideation is out there because of this behavior? That the person that we are asked to feel sympathy for in both of these instances is the sinister minister who offed himself, and Sam Rader, who had a deep double life, but his wife took him back. And Naya Rader, the wife, what if she had STDs? What if she lost a pregnancy because he was cheating? I mean, those are the kind of stories that wash up on my site. Those are real cheating stories. And that point of view was totally not reflected. These are all just, they had their fun. It was behind the scenes. I didn't know what was going on. And what hurt me was the truth. No, the real things hurt you, like missing money, chlamydia, fertility problems, syphilis. Like, that shit hurts you. And that's never in the conversation.
And the mundane day-to-day things, the having to pick up your life and pick up the children from school while your cheater is off with his new sparkly thing, and that has long-term implications.
All the time they stole from you, and all the lack of investment that your family is getting. Yeah, that's not really represented either.
The fact that so many people that write to you have had, they might be pregnant, they might be bringing a child. They've made that decision without being presented with the full picture, without someone saying, "Oh, actually, by the way, yes, I will have another child with you, but just to let you know, I'm busy on dating sites, seeing other women." And
Right.
no, that never happens, does it? They're
No.
never presented with the honest picture. I would imagine most people presented that where they go, "No, thank you very much. I won't have." For me, if someone had said to me, "Well, you can have 4 children with your husband, but by the way, he will be, continue to involve himself with other women, and in the long term, just leave you to it."
Yeah.
My life choices would have been very different had I been presented with the truth of the matter, rather than living a lie.
Yeah, it's the theft of your reality. That's that. And to me, the other thing we were supposed to judge, I think, in this documentary is we're supposed to judge the hackers. And they're kind of baffled by the hackers or hacker. I don't know if it's a single person or double, but that they don't want any money. They're not shaking down Ashley Madison for money. They're saying, "I'll release your information unless you shut down the site." You know? So what are their motivations? And they have that one journalist who reaches out and they think they've talked to the impact team or the hacker, and he says, well, that they were committing credit card fraud, that they never deleted it, and that offended this person. He referred to the people on there as like addicts. And, that might be true, that might not be true. I don't know, but whether it was intentional or not, the hack changed the power balance. From the people who were deriving all the power from, I have a secret, I have a double life, I have this thing, to now that's suddenly known about them. I find it I find it funny that theft of reality, now we have reality, and reality's the problem. Not what they were doing, the reality. How dare this hacker let us know what was really going on?
And it's, the reconciling couple. What would have happened if this information hadn't been exposed then? Would he still be up to his antics? Would he have carried on in that way? Would she have been happy in that situation as well? It's just
I don't know.
I find the level of forgiveness absolutely staggering as well, because she was presented with all this. She finds that he's been sort of coming on to her friends,
Mm.
and now she realizes why she lost friends. And yet she's still able to justify and forgive. And I find that I can understand it, because I think it's very frightening to accept that a lot of your life was a lie. And
Yeah.
it's easier to say, oh, bless him, he couldn't help it. This happened. He's now found God. It's all okay. Because by doing that, you're not having to write off a big part of your life and say, actually, I made a bad choice with my partner, and I need to stop and I need to move on. It's so much easier to say, oh, actually, no, it's fine. If we can just sort this out, it will all be, because you don't have to then confront the hurts
Yeah.
and the loss of your, the fact that you invested those years in somebody who wasn't worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we all wish we'd made better choices, right? Like, we that's the nugget of it, is the vulnerability that you can trust someone and be taken so wholly. And I think with her forgiveness of him, I think I might have sent you, there was a story kind of following up with them and what happened. Initially, apparently they separated for like a month, right? And they didn't do their vlogging for a month. And then it was the forgiveness narrative. Also, they've written a book, a reconciliation book, and they've come back together. And who she was before the hack was somebody who'd only ever worked at a mall, at an outlet mall, doing retail. Like, no, there's no job skills to go back on. And with him, she had a measure of affluence and career success as a vlogger. So not only is he taking away her family and her identity, but also her financial means of, should she rebuild her life? Sure. But that would have taken another measure of gumption to do that. And or whereas to go, oh, I can have a new narrative. We're reconciled, and infidelity made our marriage stronger, and we can keep being successful Christian vloggers, which is what she chose. And then I think she went on and had more kids. She's got 4 kids with him now. And so I think there's kind of a transactional, materialistic, part to her further investment in him. And I hate to be cynical about that, but look, we're all faced with, reasons why, or fears why we might reconcile. And not all of them are pure forgiveness. Some of them are, I need to feed my kids.
I think that's absolutely true. And I think sometimes as someone that leaves a cheater, you are, people think, oh, she wasn't strong enough to fight for her marriage,
Yeah,
or
fuck
stay,
that.
or fight for the relationship. I actually think there's a real strength in leaving. And I don't think that's acknowledged so much. You're almost cast as someone who gave up.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is giving up to leave. I think sometimes it's giving up on yourself, and to stay. That's what if in order to continue in my relationship, I would have had to give up a lot of what I believed in, and to make a lot of compromises, and I wasn't prepared to do that. And I did feel like I'd failed when my marriage broke up and those
Oh,
divorce
no.
papers came through.
You had
But now
nothing to
I
work
look
with.
now I look back on it and I think, thank goodness, I would have invested more time in trying to turn this person into somebody who they're not. I think it might have been you on your blog that said when someone shows you who they are, believe them,
Oh,
and
that's
that
Maya
is
Angelou.
that is fundamentally the best piece of advice. And I think watching that Netflix documentary, that kind of that's an insight into the brain of a cheater.
Mm.
And I think it's something that everyone should watch when they just find out that their other half has cheated, because it kind of shows the psychology behind it. As you say, it's not some sort of accidental thing. It's
Yeah.
hunting down, and it's a philosophy, and it's a belief that what you do is fine, absolutely fine. If the tables were turned, a lot of those people who were discovered cheating, if it had been their wife or their husband that was doing it, they would have been absolutely horrified and disgusted and would never have forgiven.
Well, yeah, then it wouldn't be an unfair advantage, right, that they were enjoying. They love the investment of the chump, you know? They love the appliance perks. Y That's why I thought the open marriage couple was such a red herring and a canard because, they're choosing cheaters to cheat with, to have their flings with. They're not choosing people who are ethically non-monogamous. Yeah, the whole thing was a big yuck. Also, I could go on a whole rant, a whole other podcast about this, but one of the insidious things about this is this faux sophistication that we're not supposed to judge this. When you see some of the video clips when Ashley Madison's making its promo and it's on the talk show circuit, the people kind of visibly recoil, like, ooh, like your business model, ooh. And I'm like, and then I think it was kind of played for jokes, like, oh, aren't they, cute the way they think it's so yucky. And I'm like, no, I think their disgust is because you're deceiving people, because nobody likes to be lied to and cheated on. And that judging that is human. Yeah, like you wouldn't want it to happen to you, would you? I mean, but we're all supposed to be like not judge, not I mean, how many people said, I don't judge, I don't judge, I don't judge, through the whole thing.
My only obviously my real extensive experience of cheating is with my own cheater. And what amuses me is that he didn't want to be judged when he was found to be cheating.
Mm.
He, throughout our early marriage, judged other cheaters. So he loathed his father with a passion because his father had cheated on his mother, and
Mm.
he used to rant and rave about that disgusting behaviour. While he was having his affair, he suspected me of having an affair, and I now know that this is quite a common
Oh,
thing because
totally.
you shift the blame, you kind of look for things, and he was horrified at that idea. He used to burst into tears sometimes at the idea of it.
Mm.
And so this is it. It's they don't want that reaction that, oh, this is terrible,
No,
and they
they
quite
don't.
often have that reaction themselves about other people. But when it's them,
Mhm.
it's fine. So
Yeah.
it's they've got their own special set of rules that they can behave in a way that they would disapprove of if it was anybody else doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure your ex does not want to be called a cheater or thought of in some less than spectacular way. I try to veer away from politics, but it's such an interesting point what's going on right now. As you know, our former president, Donald Trump, was convicted on 34 felony counts. And I've been enjoying listening to all the lawyering going back and forth. And one federal prosecutor that I was listening to, has made the point that he would have had a much stronger case if he had said, yes, I slept with Karen McDougal. Yes, I slept with Snarby Daniels. Yes, I had affairs with these women. And just admitted it. And everybody, of course, believes it's true, right? But he held fast to, I don't know them, I've never seen them, I have no idea what they're doing. And it made his whole lawyers not have anything to fall apart. And that's why they had to, at least in the case of Stormy Daniels, had to be brought on as witnesses to verify that, she had, and this is what happened. And I found isn't that interesting in the mind of a cheater? Like, on the one hand, you want people to think you're quite the stud, quite the ladies' man, a bad boy, you get around, whatever. On the other hand, if anybody calls you a cheater, if that were known, it could have sunk your campaign in the case of Trump. but also that he absolutely clings to this fiction. I don't know him. I didn't do it. And I thought there is some reptilian little part of the brain that thinks, I don't want people to think I'm a cheater, right? I can't operate in the world among people if people think I'm going to swindle them, right? And so same with this Ashley Madison thing. It's that they won't do it in the open because they don't want people to think that they cheat. They don't want that out there. It's like the truth is the enemy, not the behavior.
I sometimes think cheaters are a bit like, when children are really, really little and they think if they cover their eyes, you can't see them.
Yeah.
And I sometimes think that cheaters are operating at that level of sophistication. They haven't quite moved on from that because it's all about them, and they don't understand that that other people have feelings and thoughts and an identity and brains and are independent to them. And so the whole Donald Trump thing is sort of saying no, I didn't do it. It's almost like he's not reached beyond the sophistication of a toddler, where if he says it's true and everyone needs to just listen. That's it. Stop it.
Yeah. Everyone's a liar. They're not a liar. You're the liar. It's just like, okay. It's like we're in an evidence-free world. And that's kind of feel about the Ashley Madison thing. It's like we're in a consequences-free universe here. It's like they're cheaters, but no one gets STDs. No one has a pregnancy that goes the wrong way, or someone gets pregnant, someone doesn't want to get pregnant. Someone lost their money. All those real things, they're just completely absent from the conversation. Because if they were in the conversation, we might judge them.
Anyway, I particularly enjoyed, if I look back on some of our podcasts, and I did enjoy the cheater gifts section, and I think I do enjoy hearing other people's stories. So I think maybe for a future podcast we should do I should have left when, and not when the cheating happened, but what happened before the cheating that gave you an insight into their true personality.
Okay, so, I love that idea.
I should have left when, and let's get some comments and some examples, because I suspect we may well have some examples on a par with the pebble gift and
go down and
fluffy.
The comfy. I don't know why you can't say comfy.
Should we do that as
I love it. Send us your stories. That wraps another episode of Tell Me How You're Mighty. You want to leave us a mighty story or a fuckwit of the week submission? Check out our new website, tellmehowyourmighty.com. That's yours spelled YOURE. We've got all the episodes, show notes, links to our guests, and you can see the tea room where Sarah and I first met. If you enjoyed this episode, please review the podcast and follow us. Thanks. See you next week.